Welcome inside the RxMuscle studios in Westbury, New York for another episode of Ask Dave, better known as #AskDave, right here on RxMuscle.com. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. 30 minutes question and answers with Dave Palumbo. Anything that you have on your mind, diet, training, supplementation, IFBB pros, competitions, it is all on the table. Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. Take advantage of the great deals that we have going on for July. Free shipping for the 48 continental states. 25% off 44-serve Isolized. We, of course, have our brand new flavor, Caramel Macchiato. Reminder, tonight, the Fitness View returns. The ladies of RxMuscle.com. We are going to be joined by special guest fitness superstar Oksana Grishina. She is going to start the show off 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You're not going to want to miss that as we now bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, a successful Bros versus Pros 24 this past weekend out in Eastern Long Island.
Absolutely, but I want to also preface Miss Fitness Olympia Oksana Grishina, because she had won the Olympia this past year and the Arnold. So I'm excited. I love Oksana, so I can't wait till she's on the show. But yeah, Bros vs. Pros 24 out at Unique Fitness Extreme Gym in Shirley, which is, for those of you who don't know Long Island, most people think of Long Island where I live here in Nassau County. Shirley is like in God's land, all the way out east, almost toward the Montauk part of Long Island. And we went all the way out there, and you know what? It was one of the nicest gyms I've ever been in. Four-time Mr. Olympia, Jay Cutler there, participating in the event, helping us to promote it. I mean, he stayed till almost after 8 o'clock at night. We had already left, and I knew a few friends that stayed and worked out there. He was critiquing a couple of my clients, helping them with their posing, and he was training. And I mean, he's a real class act. And you know what? He didn't have to do that. But, Jay Cutler is really one of the most genuine gentleman in the sport of bodybuilding, and we should all aspire to be more like him, even in business, because he's very successful at that as well. But the event was terrific. It was the most attended Bros vs. Pros we ever did. We had the most competitors. We had the most teenagers. I had to make a teenage category because we had so many of them there. I mean, guys from 15 years old up to 19, and there had to be at least 10, 12 guys in that age category. And you know what? A lot of them were putting up some big numbers. So I'm happy to see the youth of this country, getting involved in the bodybuilding and the powerlifting type of events. And I know that, everyone was so impressed with it that we have a lot more gyms now contacting us how to do Bros vs. Pros. And if you want, you can contact me at huge285@AOL.com. And, we are taking bids now. It's going to be like WrestleMania. You have to bid for Bros vs. Pros. But no, seriously, if you want to have it at your gym, contact me and we could talk about that, because it is a terrific event. And I know the live stream was very popular. We got a lot of hits, and the videos are up available at YouTube in different sections, so you can watch the different aspects of the bench press for women, the bench press for men, the 1-rep max, deadlift, and so on and so on. So once again, a very successful weekend, and I want to thank our sponsors, Unique Fitness Extreme Gym and Eyelashes by Stephanie, and of course my own company, SpeciesNutrition.com.
Of course, the show put on by our IFBB pros, Akeem Williams, Jeff Beckham, and Eric Aguera. So a great event. Again, the clips are online at RxMuscle.com.
One more thing I want to say, too. I have to give a special thanks out to Robin Marr from Blendtec Blenders. I don't know if you can see this, Johnny. Can she see this here? This Blendtec blender was sent to me last week with a whole recipe book with some fruit and vegetable extract, desiccated extract where you can make shakes with them, which I'm crazy about. Everyone knows I love fruit and vegetable extracts. And this blender is so powerful that you only need to put it on for 2 seconds and it blends up a shake. You could put basically whole animals in there and blend them up if you really wanted to. You could put a whole fish in there and make a fish shake if you really want to. That's how powerful this thing is. And to my surprise, when I came in today, there was another one there. So I got another. She sent me 2 of these, and I haven't even opened up the second one yet. I have a feeling it's a little different. It might be more powerful than this one. These are the greatest blenders I've ever seen, or used for that matter. I always used to buy the cheap ones. They last like 6 months, and then the motor burns out. These things look like they're going to last forever. And I got to thank Robin, because with that, she said that, generously, I didn't ask, and And, not many people can send me gifts that I actually like and that are unique. And she found one that was unique and I like. And she's sending me more stuff, more of the fruit and vegetable extract products. So thanks again to Blendtec and to Robin Marr.
Once again, Ask Dave, 30-minute question and answer. If you want to ask your questions, you can join us on the Muscle Central forum on RxMuscle.com. You can tweet your questions using hashtag AskDave. You can join us on our Facebook page or on our official Instagram page, official_RxMuscle. Let's get right to it. We're going to start with the Muscle Central forum, again on RxMuscle.com, and start off with P.A. Kodiak. Dear Dave and Sid, if I had a choice between sitting through another episode of this nonsense you call Ask Dave and being at the men's finals of the Arnold Classic and that terrible new seating arrangement while Raphael gives his speech babbling on about God knows what with George Paris sitting next to me quietly whispering old cop stories into my ear all the while getting a spittle down into my ear canal because he's speaking so close to me, I would probably choose the latter. It's a good story there. I like that. In the case that someone had bad calves, triceps, or biceps, do you think it would be a good idea to train in a pre-exhaust manner that would entail training calves before quads, tris before chest, and bis before back? Or would this hinder development of the back, chest, and upper legs too much?
I would just train them on different days. I would do arms on its own day. Matter of fact, and I've mentioned this before in the show, back in the day I was really trying to prioritize my arms because they were just a little behind the rest of my body. And I would train biceps and forearms on its own day, and I would train triceps on its own day. I would do an 8-day split. So every body part legitimately got its own day. Calves were different. I always trained calves twice a week. And what I would do is I would do them on like chest day, which was always like a shorter day, and I would do them maybe on like tricep day. And I would, I've talked about this before. I believe in doing, 15 rep sets, but I would only do 2 sets, one set of standing, one set of seated with the heaviest weight I can use for good form for 15 reps. And I found that worked well for me. The problem I always had with calf development was that whenever I would do my warm-up sets, I would feel my calves really contracting hard. By the time I got to the heavier sets, the bottom of my feet were fatigued, and I couldn't really contract my calves anymore. So I said, you know what, no more warm-ups. We're going to go right to the working sets, and that seemed to solve the problem. Even to this day, my calves stay pretty big just from doing 2 sets twice a week.
Let's go to our friend Fabian, who actually won last year. But Dave, he's in Germany or Norway.
He's not getting no more. He doesn't. You know what? He told me don't worry about the T-shirts. You can ask questions and you can try to win stuff, but we're not giving it to you anymore. You've exceeded your limit already.
Once again, for the best overall question of the show, you get a Species Nutrition gym bag and Nitralized pre-workout. For the best, I hate the show or I would rather be doing X than watching the show, you get Nitralized by Species Nutrition. We are going to add, as I've been told by our billing and shipping department, that's only limited to the U.S. only. Let's go now to Fabian. Dave, let me throw you to off-season diet scenarios for a 200-pound male, and I would love to hear which one you would favor and why. Total calories are the same in both scenarios, just one has a higher carb and the other one a higher fat. The first scenario, 500 carbs, 70 fats, 250 protein. The second, 300 carbs, 150 fats, 250 protein.
Well, I'm going to go with the second choice because that's what I advocate. High protein, moderate fat, moderate to moderately high carbs. I would, you got to get your essential fats in for muscle building, and you need your protein for muscle building. So those are non-negotiable. Can you grow eating, less fats? Yeah, but what people invariably find they have to do is raise their protein really high. And what does that do? Well, remember, with every protein source comes fat. Like if you're eating red meat, if you're eating even fatty fishes like salmon, chicken, there's fat in there. So what these people find is that they don't grow until they raise protein super high. The reason is they're getting the fat indirectly from the protein. Rather than toxify your body with all that additional protein that you don't really need, take in a set amount of protein we know, which is good, which is about 1.5 grams per pound, and then on top of that, put in fat directly. Pick your fat sources. Why get the fat sources indirectly from the food you're eating? Pick the egg yolks. Pick the avocados. Pick the macadamia nut oil. Pick the nuts. And you choose which fats you want in your diet. And then the carbs, once again, just become the fuel source. Depending on how fast your metabolism is, that will dictate how many grams of carbs you need.
This next question about bros versus pros, and it comes from PTB. Dave, I love the Bros versus Pros events, the best being number 3, with Jose Raymond winning the squat challenge with 405 for 30 reps and the women's champion winning with 165 for 50 reps. It's been years since we had the squat as a featured lift. Will it ever come back?
You know, it's possible. I'll tell you why I don't do the squat, because this is the truth. When I held the squat, I thought it was a great idea, and it did turn out great. If you look at the video from Bros vs. Pros 3, you'll see Juan Morel, John De La Rosa, Marco Rivera, Dave Smith, Caden Vu. There's so many guys in that video, and Jose Raymond, obviously. I think Bonnie Pappas was in there. There was Nicole Ball. Who else? Sean Clarita was it. There were so many great stars that became stars in there that it was like it's a real classic. You should go back and watch it. But the first guy that went with 405 on the squat almost killed himself. He couldn't do one rep. I don't know why anyone would do a rep competition when you can't even do one rep of the thing. And with the squat, I mean, the deadlift, you can't lift it; it doesn't go off the floor. With the squat, if you can't lift it, you get crushed with the weight. So it's a little dangerous. Would I do it again? I probably would do it 315 for reps if I had to do it again. And it's possible. I might entertain it. Maybe we can get Jose Raymond to come down, because I asked him for this one, and he was like, "Oh, I'm too old now," which I thought was a real cop-out. And if you watch the Jay Cutler interview I did with him, Jay Cutler calls him out right on video to get his ass down to the next Bros vs. Pros.
Let's go now to Animal. Dave, this show is worse than Steve Bleckman's decision to put Paige Hathaway, an Instagram sensation, on the front cover of a bodybuilding magazine. Quick questions. Thoughts on training for naturals, days per week and body part frequency per week? And the second part, is there a bigger risk for naturals to lose more muscles on a ketogenic diet than an enhanced athlete compared to moderate carb cycling, low fat, high protein?
Well, first of all, natural guys shouldn't. A lot of these guys think that they need to train more because they're not taking anabolics. The truth is they should be training less because their recovery is much less than a guy taking anabolics. So no more than one body part per week for a natural guy. You should not be training each body part twice a week. It's just it's too hard to recover. Can some people do it? Have some people done it? Yeah, but for the majority of people, it's going to be too much. You'll probably lose muscle or not grow, at least. You got to remember, muscle building is the balance between the anabolic effect of the working out and the catabolic or negative effect of the actual stress of the workout. So if anabolic steroids skew the anabolic side, so it's hard for the catabolic side to actually overcome the anabolic side. So it's very hard to lose muscle when you're on anabolics. The problem is that when you're natural, these are about even. So the working out will raise the anabolic effect. If you work out too much, then the catabolic effect comes up and you get neutralization, which means you get nothing. You get no muscle gains. We don't want that. So it's important that you balance, your training. And once again, don't overtrain. Make sure you take rest days. I know guys that never take a day off. You got to take at least 2 days off a week, whether you're enhanced or not. Diet-wise, a ketogenic diet is actually probably the most preservative for a natural athlete because it nurtures the natural hormonal production. Remember, fats are the building blocks of steroidal hormones. So, your body needs fat, to recover from workouts and to make hormones. If you're taking anabolics, you can kind of supersede the hormonal building process because you're taking the actual hormone. As a natural athlete, you need those fats. I know natural athletes. I was one at one point too, where I took, you eat these no fat diets, and your sex drive is destroyed. A couple of weeks out from a show, you have none because you're not producing any hormones. So how the hell are you going to hold on to muscle if your testosterone can't even be produced in their body? So a ketogenic diet is actually better for a natural athlete. And once again, dieting is dieting. It doesn't matter if you're taking drugs or not. All the anabolic steroids do is make things work better. Okay, the principles of science are still the same no matter what, and that's I guess a fact that people have trouble absorbing into their brain because they think, with anabolics you can do this, and with natural you got to do that. The rules are the same. Okay, anabolics just make things work better.
We got a doozy of an I hate on this one. This one comes from Kid One Dakota. This show was used as a torture tactic to get prisoners to divulge information at an army base overseas. They started the torture, and Sid went on and on and on about species products for 15 minutes, of the 20-minute show. Then as Dave mumbled and bumbled through his first answer, a guard returned to find the prisoners attempting to hang themselves. Making any human being watch this show has now been added to the Geneva Convention's list of cruel and unusual punishment and considered a war crime. I think we just end the show right now.
Yeah.
I mean, you win. Dave, HGH and diabetes. Common sense would say a diabetic using HGH would make the condition worse. Example, a type 1 would require more insulin. A type 2 resistance would increase, making blood glucose levels go up and causing it to be much more difficult to treat. With that being said, is that your real-world experience with HGH and diabetes? Is it just overall a bad idea for diabetics, or have you experienced otherwise?
Well, everything he said was true, essentially. So, when you take growth hormone, okay, it makes insulin harder it's harder for insulin to work. It doesn't necessarily make you insulin resistant. You become resistant to insulin because there's not enough around, because the growth hormone is inhibiting the insulin from getting to its receptor. Now, that's only if you take a very large amount of growth hormone, over 4 or 5 IUs a day. If you're taking 2, 3 IUs a day, you're probably not going to get much insulin resistance. If you're a bodybuilder who's a type 1 diabetic, and I know type 1 diabetics, they don't really need to take a lot more insulin if their growth hormone intake is moderate. Once you start raising the levels over 5, 6, 7, 8 IUs a day of growth hormone, which I don't really recommend that people do, because I think it's a waste of money, but people do it anyway. Then you become more and more insulin resistant. Then what the type 1 diabetic will notice is they do need to take a little bit more insulin. Now, if you're a type 2 diabetic, which is someone who still produces insulin, but you don't produce enough. Okay, if you take a lot of growth hormone and become insulin resistant, you're gonna be even higher blood glucose levels, because once again, now if your body couldn't produce enough insulin before, it certainly can't produce enough now. So you're going to put a bigger burden on the body. Taking insulin obviously will take that burden off the pancreas. So that's why in people who become insulin resistant, or people who have slightly running higher blood sugars while on growth hormone, if you take insulin, it alleviates the problem. However, having said that, if you are noticing that you're becoming a type 2 diabetic, or that your body is not producing enough insulin, it probably means that your pancreas is pretty damn stressed out. I don't think that I would want to be taking growth hormone in that situation if I knew that was happening. But if I did do some research and figured out that it's only happening when I'm on the growth hormone and not when I'm not on the growth hormone, then I would certainly supplement with insulin. That would be what my suggestion would be.
We stay on the Muscle Central forum on RxMuscle.com. Again, if you're not already a member, it is free to register. We go to Puma. I hate this show so much that I'd rather sit through Avengers 3 with Dave reprising his role as the Hulk, Bleckman as the obnoxious billionaire Iron Man, Valentino as the science experiment Captain America, and Troy Moore as Ant-Man. Where did you come up with this stuff?
That's great.
That was awesome. My question, there seems to be many impressive bodybuilders out there, like Akeem. I know that one still cracked me up, so I'm picturing it now.
I like the Troy Moore as Ant-Man. That one I never would have come up with. That was that won it for me in my book.
Many impressive bodybuilders out there, like Akeem Williams, doing massive weights without a weightlifting belt. Do you think there is a benefit to not using a belt, or do you think there is a protection factor that supersedes that?
No, I think Akeem is insane. I tell him that all the time. When you're lifting that kind of weight, you put a belt on, because you know what? If you move a millimeter to the right, while you're squatting 700 pounds or 600 pounds, you will destroy your body. The belt holds everything together. Good safety mechanism. It's not going to inhibit muscle growth in any way whatsoever. I think Akeem's waist is so small that the belt feels uncomfortable. But even he put the belt on this past weekend when he was deadlifting 750 off the ground. So, I guess when you feel vulnerable, that's the time to do it. But I always say it's a good safety mechanism, a safety net. I would use it when you need to.
You're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com. Reminder tonight, the Fitness View returns, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Miss Fitness Olympia, Oksana Grishina, live 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on RxMuscle.com. We now go over to our Instagram crowd. If you want to join in, it is at @official_RxMuscle. Good friend, Dooley Espinal. Dave, this show is so bad, I would rather watch Jeff Beckham's last rep on the deadlift challenge at Bros vs. Pros over and over than watch this show. Dave, what are your thoughts on Phil Heath's personality and how he treats people?
Well, before I talk about Phil Heath, Jeff Beckham, for those of you who don't know what they're referring to, at Bros vs. Pros, the pros go last. And so Jeff Beckham was second to last, and then Akeem Williams was the last guy to go in the deadlift for reps. And Beckham was powering through these reps. He had to beat 37 reps. He got to 37, and he kind of got real cocky with the last one. And he probably could have done a couple more, and he just kind of like dropped the weight. Well, the judge didn't give him one of the reps, so he wound up tying with the guy for 37 reps. Akeem Williams then came and did 38 and won the event. So Beckham cost himself, I think, $500 or $600 in prize money because he got a little too cocky for his britches. But getting to Phil Heath, and there's no pun intended on the cockiness there. I have a different relationship with Phil because when I'm with Phil, Phil is very respectful to me. He's very polite to me. We can sit and have a conversation, and because I have a different, I'm a persona of someone who's, I guess well known in the industry. Now, I have heard some people tell me that Phil was not, I don't know, didn't respond well to them. But you know what the truth of the matter is? When I was competing, and I always prided myself on a guy who took time to take pictures and talk to people and spend time with people. I would be the guy who'd be the last guy to leave the expo, kind of like Jay Cutler is. And you know what? There's always one guy or one person that maybe you're in a bad mood. You walk by, and you're just tired, and they ask you don't hear them, and then they go and tell everyone you're an asshole. It's happened to me. And then someone reminded me, did you blow this person off? I'm like, I don't even know who you're talking about. So sometimes that happens. I don't know if that's the case. Phil probably gets a bad rap because, maybe he's not always in the best mood. It depends if he's dieting or not. I have never had any negative interactions with him. I've heard some people say that they have, but once again, judge Phil by your interaction with Phil. In other words, go speak to him, interact with him when you see him at a show, and then make your own judgment.
Let's go to Epi_muscle. Hello, Dave. I hate this show so much that I would rather take cycling advice from Boston Lloyd than listen to your show. My question is, are drugs weaker now than they used to be back in the 90s? You always hear guys talk about taking more quality, or rather the quality is weaker now. Thanks, by the way. I genuinely dislike your show.
A lot of the anabolics on the market today are made in what we call underground labs, which could be as lowly as someone making it in their kitchen to I guess off the grid manufacturing facility making it. So no one is really worried about quality control. I mean, if a guy's using a scale in his house to measure out what's in the stuff, he could be wrong. Maybe he wants to make a little extra money. He doesn't put as much as he was supposed to in there. There's no quality control. Whereas at a pharmaceutical company, they have quality control. If they say there's 100 milligrams in there per cc, then there's 100 milligrams per cc. So you don't really know what you're getting, and there's really no way to test it. So it's a crapshoot. Some stuff out there is good, and some is not. I'm so happy that I don't compete in this environment where you have to go to these underground places to try to get your supply of what you need. It's unfortunate that's the case. If I was competing today, I would make sure that I got pharmaceutical grade stuff, whether it be from a compounding pharmacy, rejuvenation clinic, or just from a foreign pharmacy, a real foreign pharmacy that sells legitimate anabolics. Once again, you might pay more, but you get what you pay for.
Let's go to Ian Mitzelfeld. This show is terrible. I hate it so much I would rather be handcuffed to a chair by Officer Farah and watch Kai Green's grapefruit video over and over than watch this show. My question is, for the younger generation of bodybuilders, how do these top teens and guys in their early 20s compete at a high level and go to college and still afford to pay for all the things that go into bodybuilding? I'm sure full-time students with part-time jobs can't afford that stuff. Sponsors, parents, help from others. Your thoughts?
I think it's a little of everything. I think that some guys are just real hustlers and they work and they make the money they need to. I think some people, have parents that probably support them when they're in college, and maybe they have a little job or they train people on the side and they make money from that. Some people probably have parents that give them whatever the money they need for whatever they need. I remember growing up, I had the same car from high school till I was 30 years old, whereas I had friends that their parents were buying them BMWs to drive around, and so that's just the way it is. That's life. I think that everyone has to find their own path, and some guys probably sell drugs to make money. I don't know what each person's particular way that they get what they want is, but you know what I say, if there's a will, there's a way. If you need to get what you need to get, you'll find a way to do it. And you know what I'm saying? With online businesses now, there's a lot of these guys that are out there that are advising other teenagers or other young people because they're successful and they're selling their services, for contest prep and, off-season advice. And they're selling, look at Boston Lloyd sells ebooks, and there's always a way to make money. And it's just a matter of how much you're willing to market yourself. A lot of people are lazy. The people who are not lazy, those are the people that find a way to get it done.
Once again, you're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com, the fitness view with Miss Fitness Olympia, Oksana Grishina, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on RxMuscle.com. Let's go to IXLutha13. Hi, Dave. I hate this show so much. I'd rather show up to Unique Fitness Extreme at 330 pounds of pure fat and take a picture with you than watch your show. Wait a second. That really did happen. My question is, can you make the same size and strength gains with T-ball as you can with D-ball, but without the side effects of D-ball?
Well, Diana Bowl or D-ball is way stronger than Torana Bowl, which is T-ball. That's what usually the drugs that are the most powerful have the most powerful side effects. That's unfortunately the way it goes. Diana Bowl is a much better anabolic than Torana Bowl is. However, if you're not looking for as many side effects, and I know back in the day, the East German women were using the Torana Bowl, which women should not use that drug. It's still too many side effects for a woman. But no, you can't compare apples and to oranges. Diana Bowl is a stronger drug than Torana Bowl. Personally, I don't like any orals, really. Maybe just for the very, very beginning of a cycle. Once again, orals, because of their toxic nature, tend to blunt the appetite. And if you can't eat, you can't grow. And that's the bottom line.
Let's go to... Who do we want to go with here? I'm trying to get one that's TV appropriate. Some of these are a little rowdy. Let's go to Hoodman521. Dear Dave, your show is as bad as Donald Trump's hair. So I like that. Simple and clean. Should you do keto while off cycle, or would that cause a lot of off muscle waste?
A lot of people ask me this. I mean, if you're on an off-season diet, I'm assuming that means that you're trying to put muscle on and grow. If that's the goal and you're not trying to lose body fat, then I would say, eat carbs. Have your protein, fat, and your carbs, because the carbs are the fuel source. Once you take the carbs out of the equation, now the fats and protein that you're eating, some of them are going to be used for fuel. That's fine if you're dieting because you're not trying to add muscle. But when you're trying to maximize muscle gains, you want all the protein and fat you're eating to be used for muscle building and repair. So the carbs become the fuel source. The key is to figure out how many grams of carbs your body needs to fuel your activities during the day without having extra carbs left to be stored as body fat. And that's the conundrum that off-season bodybuilders have to come up with. That's why, when people hire me to coach them in the off-season, that's my job, to figure out how many grams of carbs they need where they're not going to get fat, but they're going to have enough to fuel their workout so that all the protein and fat I'm feeding them gets used for building muscle.
Let's get this question about pregnancy. It's an interesting one. Dave, do you coach through pregnancy? Is it dangerous to live a contest prep life and try to get pregnant? I desire an extremely fit pregnancy, obviously avoiding crazy supplementation.
I think that a healthy, bodybuilding-ish diet is perfect for someone who's pregnant. Number one, protein and fat is important for the development of the baby, just like it is important to the development of muscle mass in the body. Carbs, once again, just the fuel source. You might need a few extra carbs than you normally do because you're kind of fueling two lives now instead of one. But the bottom line is that the essential nutrients are the same. Likewise, the supplementation is super important for the woman who's pregnant because you have to make sure that you're getting the right nutrients to fortify the growing baby. Essential fatty acids are hugely important. I advocate a lot of pregnant women taking omega-lys from Species Nutrition because of the high quality of fish oil and evening primrose oil and the right dosages in there. And they've shown that essential fatty acids are key to development of the brain of the growing fetus. So I think that that's really important. Also, a good multi-mineral, multivitamin with fruit and vegetable extracts, super important. Also, they've shown that babies or mothers that take in enough of the essential vitamins and minerals on a daily basis will produce babies that have higher birth weight. That usually implies is equivalent to healthier babies. So once again, probably the two most important supplements, omega-lys, V-mineralize, or something similar to that, comparable to that. I don't know if there are too many comparable supplements on the market, but that's what I would recommend for a pregnant woman, bare minimum. Fiber supplement is always good to keep stuff moving through so that your stomach doesn't feel as bloated. And, a good quality whey isolate is excellent. Probably in pregnancy, especially the first trimester, I wouldn't be taking a supplement that has like sucralose or artificial sweeteners in it. You might want to go with a more natural, blend. But other than that, essential nutrients, super important.
Dave, let's get one last thought. This one is from Animal. It was a 3-part question. I didn't get to the last part. Your thoughts on Cody Montgomery winning a pro card this past weekend?
This coming weekend is the USA Championships, and Cody, under the coaching of Chris Aceto, will be, taking his 3-time team national, title on the line. And in essence, this is the first time he'll be doing a men's open show, and especially at a pro qualifier level. I think he's got a very good chance in that heavyweight class of winning, to be honest with you. I think that his conditioning, I know, will be impeccable. He's got good shape. His presentation is good. For a kid his age, 20 years old, he's got great muscle maturity. I think that we could see possibly him going home with a pro card. Now, having said that, there are a lot of really good guys in that heavyweight class. So I have to believe that it's not going to be a walk in the park. I know a couple guys, myself, I'm even helping a few guys in that class. So I think Cody's got a great shot at top 5. I think he's got an outside chance of a pro card. It'll be interesting to see what happens come this Friday, Saturday.
So we're now going to get over to the part where, again, we vote for the best overall question, for the best I hate. Dave, if you don't have any objections to that, I think I'm going to go with the question about pregnancies and fit pregnancies, which was asked on our Instagram profile by Melon Marty. It's a question that we don't really often get, so I think we're going to go with that for the best overall question. This is where it gets fun. We had a couple of...
Is Melon Marty a guy or a girl? That's the
I
question.
don't know. It's a fantastic question. We had a couple of doozies.
Well, if Melon Marty is pregnant, probably don't want to take Nitralize till after the pregnancy.
Baby's going to be hyper. So let's go to the best I hate, the candidates. So first one from P.A. Kodiak. If I had the choice between sitting through another episode of this nonsense you call Ask Dave and being at the men's finals of the Arnold Classic and that terrible new seating arrangement while Raphael gives a speech babbling on about God knows what with George Farah sitting next to me quietly whispering old cop stories into my ear all the while getting his spittle down into my ear canal because he's speaking so close to me, I will probably choose the latter. It's a good one. Let's see. What else did we have here? Well, we had another one.
What was the one? What's the one with Troy Moore?
Right. Yeah. No. So there's another one. I'd rather have dinner with Rocky III in his piece of crap 1-bedroom apartment and listen to him preach the gospel and tell me how I'm a sinner and a pothead instead of listening to this show. That one from Big Mike Cox. What else do we have here? All right. Kid 1 Dakota. This one was about, here we go. This show was used as a torture tactic to get prisoners to divulge information at an army base overseas. They started the torture and Sid went on and on and on about Species products for 15 minutes of the 20-minute show. Then as Dave mumbled and bumbled through his first answer, a guard returned to find the prisoners attempting to hang themselves. Making any human being watch this show has now been added to the Geneva Convention's list of cruel and unusual punishment and considered a war crime. That one, and then we have, I hate this show so much that I'd rather sit through Avengers 3 with Dave reprising his role as the Hulk, Blackman as obnoxious billionaire Iron Man, Valentino as the science experiment Captain America, and Troy Moore as Ant-Man.
That's my pick. I'll tell you why that's my pick. First of all, it's very creative, so I like creativity. If the thing is too long, it loses me. It's the succinct punch that you pack. That's what always gets me. And I think I got to go with Troy Moore's Ant-Man. Got it for me. I'm sorry. I got to go with him.
All right. You know what? I'm going to declare a tie on this one. So we got Dave going for the superhero one. I'm going for a tie. Johnny, what do you got your money on? You like the Avenger one? All right. So by a 2-1 count, Puma, right here from Long Island, New York. So we know you're local. Yeah. You contact me at sid@speciesnutrition.com. We're going to get you neutralized by Species Nutrition.
Puma, you could come in and pick it up if you want. Save me the shipping.
Or that. Or and then underscore Melon Marty. You email me at sid@speciesnutrition.com. We're going to get you neutralized as well as a Species Nutrition gym bag. That's going to do it for Ask Dave. Reminder once again tonight, the Fitness View, 7 p.m. right here on RxMuscle.com. Special guest, Miss Fitness Olympia, Oksana Grishina, is going to be live on the show, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on RxMuscle.com. For Dave and Johnny Styles, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you in a few hours.